Hey everyone, welcome to Live from My Drum Room and a special episode to celebrate the 56th anniversary of the iconic Woodstock Festival, August 15 through 18, 1969. And who better to give their perspectives on this epic event than legendary drummers Michael Shrieve, who performed with Santana, and Greg Errico with Sly and the Family Stone. Both Michael and Greg were 20 years old when they performed at Woodstock. Michael had just turned 20 in July of 1969, and Greg was 2 weeks shy of his 21st birthday, which is on September 1st, and that would have been 1969. I'm going back into the archives with excerpts from episode 45 with Michael Shrieve from July 13, 2021, and episode 198 with Greg Errico from June 24, 2024, where they shared their recollections of Woodstock and more. If you haven't seen these episodes with Michael and Greg, I've put the links in the show notes. So come along for the ride as we look back at Woodstock 56 years ago this weekend. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll see you on the other side. You know, just to jump ahead, so you get the gig with Carlos. You record that first record with him, and that's before Woodstock, right? That was leading up to that summer.
That record didn't even come out before Woodstock. So when we played Woodstock, and I didn't realize this until 5 or 10 years ago, I forgot that we played Woodstock without an album out. So most of the groups, people were familiar with the music.
Yeah.
With Santana, they had never heard it before. And so it's even more special, I think, that we won them over without them being familiar with the music.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I think I read that recently, but I assumed there was at least a record or two out by then.
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Soul Sacrifice wasn't on the first record, right? Or
it was, but it was a very chopped version. It was nothing special except it was the tune. And so it just became a thing with that song is the drum solo song. It was improvised most every night. I definitely it was space for me to use all, my rudiments, my hand stuff. Like when you say, wow, you didn't have a drum set in high school, but I had snare drums, so I would go through the Buddy Rich books and the rudiments, and I had really good teachers like Anthony Cerrone at one point, and Pete Magadini, and Michael Carvin. They were all really important in my life. So Soul Sacrifice was just improvised. When people tell me I learned it, I'm like, you should have learned the one from Tanglewood.
I think you've said that. You've told me that you like that solo better, that performance better.
Yeah. I mean, I could never really listen to the Woodstock performance. I didn't care for it. But when I watch it, I get it because, it's so, the whole band is so vigorous, and the solo was really great to look at, like it's better to look at with the sound than just hear it, I've found. So,
well, that's you being your own, biggest critic.
Yes, it is. Yeah. I listen, I go, when I stop playing the groove and I'm going, good man, what are you doing? I'd say that now. You got 500,000 people. Keep the groove going. Keep the groove going.
No, I wouldn't change a thing with that drum solo.
Neither would I. And so Woodstock became prevalent in all our lives. And it's been that kind of thing where it's a love-hate thing for me for many years. I can tell I was about 35, 33, something. I'm living in New York. And walking down Fifth Avenue, and I'd see people would be like, hey, Mike Shrieve, and they go like, wow, you're getting older, and I'm like, wow, you too. And anyway, Woodstock was all anybody. I had bands, I had Automatic Man. I had Novo Combo. I had done solo records. I'd done this and that, and all I hear is about Woodstock. So
Yeah.
I used to spend a lot of energy like saying, "Oh, have you heard my latest this? Have you heard this?" Finally, I just said, "You know what? Shut up. Just shut up. Just shut up." And be gracious and say, "Thank you very much. That's very kind of you," and be grateful that you've done something that means so much to so many people, and let it go. And then just live your life like you want to live it now. Make the
Yeah.
music you want to make. Do anything you want. And then just be gracious about Woodstock instead of sick and tired of it. And so that day I taught myself a lesson,
Yeah.
be grateful. Don't, and
That's
also I always had this thing is like when you grow older, promise yourself you'll never be a bitter old man, no matter what happens, you know. Just don't be that guy. Don't get bitter and this and that. Oh, well, I should have gone. I should have this. And people should have. It's like no, let it go. Just enjoy it. Just do what you want to do. You don't have to answer to anybody. Just
yeah.
do what you want to do and don't complain. Basically,
That's great advice. No, yeah, I mean, we talked about this offline, I know, and it had to have been, that had to have gotten old, constantly people just sort of only fixating on that. But like you say, I think as we get older too, you can look back at that now and be so proud of it. It was such an important moment in time. It will be something that 100 years from now, people will still be talking about. I firmly believe that. I think you do too, that it's just such an important part of history. And man, I mean, if when I see footage of that, I know you had just turned 20, like, a month before, but you look about 14.
I know.
That's the funny thing. You look, I mean, you and you still have that baby face. And I saw the somewhat recently, I was watching Gimme Shelter, and there's that clip where you and Jerry Garcia are talking, and I think Phil Lesh maybe. There's
Yeah, yeah,
a quick
yeah.
clip of you guys, and so were you guys, and not to get off on that tangent, but were you
That's
guys
fine.
scheduled to play that day? Was Santana supposed to be on the bill that day?
We did play.
You did play, okay.
Yeah, we did play, and I tell you, um, as great as Woodstock was, this was just the opposite. And
Yeah,
it was literally frightening to be on the stage. First of all, it was so low. It was only
yeah,
about 12 inches up. And then the Hells Angels were all around the stage. And they were really intimidating and they were, really messed up. I
mm,
know there was one guy that had that like coyote hat on or something and a beard. And I felt for the first time in my life a force that I called evil, you know,
yeah,
and I who goes there, but I realized this is an energy. This is an energy, and this energy is really dark. And so as soon as we got done, I said, this is not going to go well. And I went over to the helicopter place, and just stood there waiting. I didn't care what anybody else was going to do or anything. I didn't want to hear anything. And I got out of there. And so when I was on my way out, Jerry and Phil came, and they couldn't believe that the Hell's Angels were doing stuff. It
mm,
was beyond their like, and so I mean they beat the shit out of Marty Ballin, and I told him about that.
yeah,
And
yeah,
uh, anyway, so we
man,
declined to be in the movie. We when we were in London, we went to a showing of it with Charlie Watts and Mick Jagger. And in retrospect, I wish we would have been in the film um, because just for historical value.
hmm,
But at the time, we didn't want to be associated with something so dark. And I regret that now. I'd love to see the footage and hear it. And we played well all the time, you know.
yeah, yeah,
We didn't really we rehearsed all the time. So that I think of the bands in San Francisco that rehearsed more than others, it was Santana and Sly and the Family Stone. Greg said they rehearsed a lot. And so that's how you get good, is by really, rehearsing. I think people don't do that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that footage must exist somewhere. I mean, they did capture it, but you just opted to not have it in the movie. So
Yeah, so it's somewhere. I know it was
somewhere.
a Maisel Brothers film, and
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be good to see it. It'd be great to see it.
Yeah. Well, I guess on a positive note, that same year, I mean, Altamont was only a few months after Woodstock, and
Yeah.
you kind of, you have such a great documented, performance already. So but I know what you're saying. Now looking at it 50 some odd years later, it would be nice to see it, just for historical purposes. Yeah.
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 Just keep that going.
Yeah, and this year, as I'm sure you know, is 55 years since the anniversary of Woodstock,
Mhm.
and you guys were there. And I mean, can you maybe just share some memories of what that was like and that whole?
Funny because I just watched, there's movies, dramas, documentaries, the actual original three different versions of Woodstock.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, and the other night I watched, um, it was a doc on all the people, besides, including Michael, of course, Michael Lang, that were in the peripheral that worked with Michael.
Hmm.
And it was really, you know, the only way that that came together as it did is really, again, the sum of all the parts,
Yeah.
because the timing and things that happened and challenges they had, and that's what made it end up where it was, because it almost didn't happen a lot of times. It was a lot of things, but Michael was really driving the car. Michael Lang was really driving the
Hmm.
car as far as he was just like, he never got scared or frightened or go, oh shit, what are we gonna do? Like just had the smile on his face and just, saying that, well, we got this, it'll be cool. And maybe he had probably no idea what was gonna happen or like how he's gonna, manage to pull this next challenge off. But it was really I forgot the name of it. It's just the other night I watched it and I,
Yeah.
I found it to be fascinating. And most of those, like at the end of it, they're rolling the credits, and it was in memory of, and three-quarters of them gone, including
Yeah. Man.
Michael.
Michael. Yeah. Somewhat recently, right? A few years ago, or
Yeah, a couple of years ago
yeah.
he passed. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What a
Carlos,
visionary. Yeah.
yeah. I went and sat in with Carlos Santana does a
Mm.
residency here at the House of Blues at the Mandalay Bay, and occasionally I go sit in with him, play a couple numbers. And the other night I went. He's actually going to play uh, Woodstock in January. There's, they got the Performing Arts Theater up on the hill where the original site was, Bethel
Yeah.
Woods.
Yeah. Yep.
Bethel Woods. And he asked me, if he could come on by and play a couple numbers if you're in town. And then I'm actually going to Europe at the end of July, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to make it, but it's possible. I think it's the July 17 or 18. They're going to perform there. But
Wow.
remember, it's just was all that you hear about. It's one of those just unique things. There's only one. It will
Yeah.
only happen once. There is no Woodstock tour. People,
Right.
it's not the same thing. But the spirit of it, and actually, Carlos had been talking to me about wanting to do a movie and a series of concerts, not Woodstock Revisited or anything like that, but we were there and we experienced it. We were part of what created it. And to try to bring that spirit musically, again, I don't know what it would be called, but
Hmm.
I could talk about it. Let's talk about it for maybe 25 next year, 2025.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That would be
that,
amazing.
yeah, that could be exciting. And to have, anybody that's around still that was there,
Hmm.
then plus new and all in between, and new young up and coming musical entities that would be part of this, and it's got legs. I'm thinking
Yeah.
yeah.
It's great that you're involved in these things that are important parts of like preserving the history of all these events. It's great that you're engaged in it. And I'm just thinking, if I have the math right, you were like 20 years old when you played at Woodstock. Is that you born in
19 or
40?
20, yeah,
Yeah.
that was August of 1969.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you stick around for a lot of I mean, I know people were flying in and out. You maybe might have been on tour and came in for your part of it, or did you get to see a lot of the other acts that were there that day or those days?
We
Or
got in Saturday afternoon. We were supposed to play Saturday. We were supposed to originally play Saturday evening at 8 p.m. We didn't play till 3 a.m. Sunday morning. And that was
that's wild.
quite the challenge. And I mean, there must have been four or five Michael coming in or getting in touch with us, saying, "Okay, we're going to go on. No, no, okay, we got to wait. No, it's another hour. Sorry, man. Sorry, please." And it's like you get your adrenaline up, and you go to, and then it didn't happen, and so finally at 3 a.m. and by that time, it was raining. It was 3 a.m. in the morning. People were already there for a couple of days. They were beat up and just sleeping, and like, who cares? It's like you got to go on and play and entertain these people and get the spirits up. And it was quite a challenge, but we realized, at the end of the day, just before we went on, we just kind of like all kind of, gathered and said, all we could do is go on and give it our all and just, give
Yeah.
do the best we can and just deal with the situation. So we did, and about, second, third song, about the third song, people start coming out of their tents and sleeping bags. What's going on here, And
Yeah. Yeah.
they got into it, and the rest is history. You see it, you could feel it in the film, man. It was
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. It was amazing.
It had to be. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Greg.
Just one of a kind. I mean, I've
Yeah.
played other concerts where there, huge crowds. That was probably the biggest at that time. But there was just nothing like it,
Yeah.
nothing like it. Yeah.
No, I was going to say that I knew you guys went on in the middle of the night. I wasn't sure what time, but I wondered that, like, what it was like for you guys, like your energy level. I'm sure once you get on stage, you guys rose to the occasion, and then the crowd had to their energy. Then, of course, drives you guys even more. And
Back and
yeah,
forth. Yeah.
the feeding off the crowd, and just knowing what it was like in those days, as far as like the sound. I mean, how much time did you have between when the act before you finished and you guys came on? Did you have time to kind of get your drums sorted out, or even?
Well, we had people handling that.
Yeah, yeah.
The turnaround times were usually about, I don't know, 20 minutes to 30 minutes, uh,
So that was, yeah.
closer to 20, But I remember some guys telling me, in the recent past, the first time I had heard about this, and I didn't know it in real time. And he goes, "Do you know that?" Because some guy was telling me, he was on the crew, and he goes, "You know that when during your guys' set, there was about 10 to 15 of us, it ended up being that many, had gathered underneath the stage to hold up the stage because it was going
Oh my
right."
God.
We weren't there when we realized that started happening. We got about right down there. We're holding up the stage, and would have came
Oh,
through,
oh my God. Oh,
And I go,
wow.
"No, I didn't realize that at the time, but thank you for telling me, and God bless you." Wow, yeah,
Wow. Yeah,
yeah,
man. I mean, do you remember what it even sounded like on stage? Could you even hear
yeah.
yourselves?
I could still feel the pulse. There was a couple points in time, one specifically where it was like it felt like a freight train. It felt like a big freight train going down the tracks, and you could hear that rhythm. And I think it was during. It was either higher um yeah, I'm pretty sure it was higher. And as a matter of fact, someone, I think it was Larry, told me once, because Larry was hanging with Prince for many years, and he said he called him into the room. Larry Graham, he called him in. Prince called him into the studio, and he puts this thing on, and it's like the bass and drums of that evening, and he goes, "Freight train." I remember that. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
just like that. One of those moments where and we would experience this occasionally. We just look at each other and know we got this, man. It's like this thing that happened. It was like, you know, it was much bigger than you. You just
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
you're writing on it. But it was a very powerful pulse and thing that was going on that would just happen, and we lock it. We knew when we got it, we locked into it and just took it as far as it could take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was one of those moments.
I'm
Yeah.
sure it was. I just think about times like that, you know, unlike a lot of the concerts today where you guys were like, you didn't have time to think about the fact that, man, we just got here and I got 20 minutes to just make sure all my shits together. It was like you felt the vibe. You get up there, you played. If your hi-hat was moving a little bit or your ride wasn't in the right spot, didn't matter.
You overpowered
channeled
it.
it.
It used
Yeah.
to happen a lot in those days, actually.
Yeah.
You know, the equipment production wasn't what it is today.
Right.
Sound, everything, the hardware for the drums. I used to have to time my stuff down, really speaking of that.
Yeah.
And, you know, so yeah, you know, you would do your thing and get it set up the best you could. But at the end of the day, it didn't matter if something was out of place or getting ready to fall, whatever, you just overpowered it and just
Yeah.
sometimes I look at some of this footage you're hearing one thing, but it doesn't look like, you know, it's just where's that coming from? Like, wow, you know, it amazes me. But that's the spirit of music. That's when you got chemistry and you got that deep connection happen. That happens. You can see that in other groups too. It's like you're looking at this old film footage and you're hearing and feeling the sound and go, this one way, how come it doesn't look like that? You know, it's the sound is not relating. It's good, you know, it's a good thing. I'm not talking about a bad thing. Anyway.
No, I'm fascinated by all that stuff, Greg, because I watch those documentaries and I see you guys, just what you said, you just overpower whatever the obstacles might be of just, you're there for the music, you know, you're there for the music and everything else is secondary. It's like, we'll make it work.
It's a powerful thing, you know. I mean, you could feel it when you were doing it, you know, but looking at it again 40, 50 years later or something, it's still there. You know, it wasn't like, you know, you're just in that moment and you're feeling it then, if it, you know, goes away. No, it was captured. It's there, whatever that thing is. It's kind of like some kind of voodoo, some kind of magic. You know?
All right, that's my show. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, leave me a comment, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also download the podcast on all podcast platforms. And I'm excited to tell you that Live from My Drum Room has been ranked #1 best drum podcast for the second straight year. So thank you all for your support. I really appreciate it. And I want to invite you to check out livefrommydrumroom.com, my website, for upcoming shows and also for information on ordering Live from My Drum Room merchandise, t-shirts and hoodies. 100% of the proceeds go toward a scholarship I've created with the Percussive Arts Society. There's also information on ordering merchandise in the show notes. And you can email or at livefrommydrumroom@gmail.com. So remember, no drummers are harmed on any show. And drummers, when in doubt, leave it out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll see you again real soon.